week before, about a week and a half before, I had laid off like 200 My Pillow employees, and I had a dream. And just 3 days later, said, hire them all back. So I told my son, hire them all back. He says, are you sure, Dad? And I said, yeah, I had one of my God dreams. And so here on that Thursday, I was signing books, and I got a letter from the White House, from the Vice President's office, and it said, and one of my assistants said, you come to a roundtable event and write some remarks, and you have to have them approved. And I said, I've been to a roundtable before. You don't have to get them approved. I'll just talk. You just sit around a table. And she goes, no, it says you have them approved. I said, just go ahead and write them. They want to know what you're doing to help the pandemic. We were switching over to masks, and anyway, so I'm signing my books, and she wrote, I never bothered to read it, and I headed to Washington, D.C. that Monday, and I had crumbled up that piece of paper in my pocket. And we got to the White House, and I'll quick go through the story, but we went into the roundtable event, and there's the vice president sitting here, and the president wasn't in there yet, and there's all these other CEOs, there's 4 of them, and we go around the table and we just talk about, one company's doing this, mine's doing that, and nobody got out their remarks to read. And then the president came in and he sat down and we kind of did it again. We go up to leave and the vice president says, I said to him, how come we didn't read our remarks? He goes, oh no, Mike, we're gonna go out to the Rose Garden. And he says, you might get called up on stage. I go, what? I hadn't been watching any conferences. And we all went into the, anyone that's read my book, I had a fear of rejection. I don't talk very good to strangers. I'm still getting used to talking in front of crowds. Well, we walked into the Oval Office and the CEO sat here and myself and this lady sat next to me here, and right behind us is the desk and the vice president were working on their speech. And I'm all kind of nervous and I didn't know who this lady was. And I looked at her and I said, and so who are you? And she said, Dr. Burke. And I said, and why are you here? I didn't know. And she looked at me. I thought she was with the CEOs. And I said, so I got real uncomfortable. I go, well, that's pretty uncomfortable. But that was a divine thing there because I go, I got to do something. This is really awkward, right? So I reached in my pocket. I said, I better look at those remarks. And I look at him and I go, no. I mean, I could barely, we're a vertically integrated company and all this stuff. I didn't even know what the words meant. And so I start crossing things off. And I felt God just led me. I said, I want to say something, give a message out there to the world. And I flipped the paper upside down and I start putting, God gave us grace and it's coming to me. But I'm crossing out, if you ever make a thing, I use little arrows and crossed off words and I can come back up here and then you go here. And I'm going to recopy this, right? I get down to the very last word and I'm look for paper. The president taps me on the back, goes, come on, Mike. He goes, 100 million people are going to see this. I'm going, and I got out there though, and as you all know, you've seen it there, but what led me up to there, I want to tell you, now I'm going to go back in time. You've all read my book. I was an ex-crack cocaine addict and other addictions, and by the grace of God, on January 16, 2009, I was set free of the addictions. But it was, I had a calling like we all do, and now if you'd have told me, I thought my calling was to get people out of addiction, to help people come out of addiction. I didn't know it was going to be to lead people to Jesus, and this is what happened. So I come out of my addictions and I look around me and I see all these things that had changed. It's like I had decades of just living in my own little world and not paying attention to politics and I'm going, what do you mean? What do you mean a marriage isn't between a man and a woman anymore? What do you mean they're killing the unborn and killing babies that are maybe even born? And all these things that had changed in me, I'm going that my moral compass and my Christian beliefs, and I wasn't even completely saved then. This is just, I've been brought up, with God and God always chasing me. But I'm going, what did I miss? My friends were all losing their houses. I'd already lost mine and their jobs, and everything was just in chaos. And it kept getting worse. President giving money to evil empires, and I'm going, what is going on? Anyway, and it gets up to 2015 when the president walked down that escalator. I had a dream that I was going to see him in a room sometime. I was going to be with him in a room. This is before he even announced he was going to run. And things that started happening to me, if you read my book, this is even how I came to the Lord, because this is just impossible things that happened. I went to a national prayer breakfast and I was picked out of 12 people to pray in a room with Ben Carson. And we're in that room, and I'm going, I'm not even completely saved yet. I'm going, this is awkward. They're praying, and then this guy in the room said, a couple of you are going to become great friends and change the course of history. And Ben and I are best friends to this day, great friends. And he, but in that room, after I left there, then things kept happening. I'm on a plane to California, and I get an email from Donald Trump saying, Mike, will you meet me in Trump Tower in New York City? And so this dream could come to fruition. Well, I get in there. They said it's going to be a private meeting, or it's never going to be a private meeting, and whatever you do, don't tell them you're a crack addict or an ex-crack addict. Well, they were all wrong. God set it up where it was a completely private meeting, and I walked in there and I had my cross on like you all see me on TV, and I'm wearing that cross, and he goes, Mike, you always wear your cross. He says, are you a Christian? I said, yes, Mr. Trump, and this is a divine appointment. And I'm all nervous, but I started talking to him, and one of the things I said was, I'm a former crack addict, and I looked at him, like, and he goes, and I said, I have a calling. I want to bring people out of addiction and help this country and help people. And he goes, yeah, I'm going to stop the drugs pouring in, and he made all these promises and stuff to tell me and all these things he's going to do. And of course, I left there, and as you know, I went all in, right? Well, now I'm going to fast forward for the sake of time, but I went all in, and then I started realizing how much politics played a role in our faith. And this kept happening to me, where I'm seeing all these decisions that have been made that have just went against Christianity, and it's what I believe in. And I looked at it, I had to learn real fast about politics. I'm going, wait a minute, everything I believe, let's see, pro-life over here, marriage, everything was over in this column. And that was one thing that happened to me. I'm going, why is there such a division now where it's not just about, like I think the vice president said it, it's not about, this election isn't about red or blue, it's about, this is spiritual warfare in our country, this is our future. And I got up to last, as we went to the White House and stuff, and I became friends with the president. In fact, the first time I was ever in the White House, my friends, I go walking in there, and back in 1973, I seen a picture of Richard Nixon and Elvis Presley together, and I'm going, and with my record, I'm going, there's no way I'll ever get to meet a president. You got to be Elvis Presley to meet a president, and I always remember that, and I'm thinking, well, that ship sailed because of all the things I had done. Well, I walked into that White House, and on the wall was that picture of Richard Nixon and Elvis Presley, and I'm going, and I get to my seat in this big first round table. I was there, and I sit down, and I go, there's no name tag here. I said, who's sitting here? The president is. So it goes live on national TV, and all my friends are seeing me and the president sit there going, this is impossible. Jesus is real, that this ex-crack addict is sitting next to a president. And but then I started to realize, my crossover now into helping in politics as because of my faith, and it's just they're so intertwined in our daily lives. And right now, what I told the president, that I was going to have a recovery network that was going to help millions of addicts, and that's come to fruition. I just spoke at the return, like Bob said, and in my platform, it's to bring millions of people back to the church. What changed during my platform wasn't to bring people out of addiction. It's an opportunity of a lifetime to get people to Jesus, and right now, people don't look to hope unless there's something bad going on, addiction's bad, and people are looking, they're looking their way out, or we had this pandemic, but now everybody's looking for hope. And I believe that it's an opportunity of a lifetime, and where's the hope? The hope is in the church. That hope is Jesus. And I believe we have an opportunity here for the biggest revival in history. And with all of and I'll tell you, the family leader, when Bob called me up, and I said, when he does, there is one thing I get behind 100%, he will tell you that, is the family leader. I go, okay, Bob, what's going on here? and I think, for me, I get approached all the time, and I will tell you the family leader does more than any organization I've seen, where you're connecting the church to get people to the church and to get to understand how politics in this election is the most important election in history. And if we, you know, I would have never thought I'd be up here talking about it, but if right now everything in the church is our way, it's our future after the election too. And with my recovery now, I'm bringing people back to the church, but what you all got going here with the family leader. And I want to tell you one more thing. You know, when I said there that God's been taken out of our schools and classrooms, they did a poll in a prison in Kansas, and in there, and these are inmates or felons, and they said how many of them in there were both parents got married, had their planned their child, had their child, and were still married while they were in that prison. 0%. Zero. That's how important that God and family is to our country. And I just want to thank you all for having me here again. I know that I probably talked too long already, but you know, God's blessed me with a huge platform that I can't even ever imagine to evangelize and put my platform for good. And I pray every day that God guides my path. And I think all of you need to take that Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all ways acknowledge him and he will guide your path. Thank you.